Welcome back, everyone. Have you read the latest chapter? Those of you who have been following this channel may have noticed that we've discussed the possibility that there once was a massive continent on the Grand Line in the world of One Piece. Our hypothesis has nearly been confirmed by Dr. Vegapunk's statement in chapter 1115. He revealed that the current islands of the world are fragments of a sunken continent. First, a major clue that led me to propose this hypothesis is the personal pronoun used by Im. He refers to himself as Mu. When chapter 1085 was released, the most widespread misinformation was the incorrect translation that Im's personal pronoun in Japanese meant dream or nothing. I've explained the detailed structure of that Japanese phrase in this video. At that time, this channel was small, so my idea that Imu's pronoun hints at the Mu continent wasn't widely accepted. Thanks to the support of viewers who have been with this channel since then, I've been able to continue. Thank you. I often see strange interpretations of Japanese spreading, so in this channel, I aim to share the correct nuances of the original version. Now, I'll give a brief explanation about the Mu continent. The concept of the Mu continent refers to a supposed lost continent, similar to Atlantis, that was once thought to have existed in the Pacific Ocean. According to this theory, Mu was a highly advanced civilization that ultimately sank into the ocean. This idea was popularized in the 19th century by authors like Augustus Le Plongeon, who misinterpreted ancient Mayan texts as referring to a lost continent. The theory was elaborated by James Churchward, who claimed that Mu was the cradle of all world civilizations before it met a tragic end. Although the existence of this continent lacks geological evidence in the real world, in the world of One Piece, it appears that such a continent truly existed at one time. It's clear that Imu is a character deeply connected to this continent. So, in this video, based on the latest information, we'll analyze again what the world of One Piece might have looked like during the Void Century. I believe we will arrive at an interesting conclusion, so please watch until the end. This character might be key. In my previous video about Nami, I speculated that a giant continent might have existed where the Grand Line is today. The main basis for this theory was the name of the kingdom where Nami was born, called Oikot Kingdom. The term Oikot is a constructed word, meaning the opposite place of Tokyo. It also carries a disdain for Tokyo. While Tokyo is an urban and economic hub, characterized by its crowdedness and lack of fulfilling space and relationships, Oikot implies the countryside. The word suggests that living in the countryside might not be economically affluent, but it surpasses Tokyo in the richness of time, space, and human relationships. Nami's birthplace, Oikot Kingdom, is in the rural East Blue. This leads me to believe that the giant continent once located on the Grand Line might have served a role similar to Tokyo today, likely because it hosted an advanced civilization much like modern Tokyo. Furthermore, Nami is often depicted as sensing the weather through her skin in the series. Why do you think she possesses such a unique trait? I believe it's because she was transported from a past era through the powers of a devil fruit. In One Piece Yellow, Nami explains, "In the ancient times, without navigation skills, people could only sail within sight of land." This suggests that the era Nami was likely born in had a giant continent, and people only sailed near the land. However, in the rural areas of that era, when venturing beyond their islands, people had no choice but to rely on their senses for navigation. To survive, people back then must have developed an extraordinary sense for the temperature, humidity, and pressure changes necessary for navigation. Thus, Nami, who directly inherited the genes of the people from the ancient Oikot Kingdom, can feel the weather through her skin. Additionally, she was the only one infected by Kestia in Little Garden. Perhaps Nami was the only one infected because her body is from an ancient time, and thus lacked antibodies against Kestia. I discuss these theories in more detail in this video, so if you have time, please watch it. By the way, I discussed Nami's dream on my X account. Currently, to achieve her dream, Nami needs to sail all the routes of the Grand Line. However, if the geography of the blue planet changes in the final chapter, her dream might be achieved in an unexpected way. We can assume that the world over 900 years ago lacked advanced navigation techniques, and civilization wasn't very developed. However, this also raises some questions. Why did technology capable of raising the water level by 200 meters and submerging continents develop during the Void Century? I believe the influx of technology from the moon played a major role. The term taiko in One Piece has been used in limited contexts, such as Little Garden, the murals in Enel's space operations, and in Who's Who's explanation of Nika. The term taiko refers to an era before the oldest period documented in records. Specifically, it denotes a time more than 15,000 years ago when people first settled around springs, or possibly even earlier than that. These references likely point to a time well before the Void Century. By the way, in the One Piece manga that we've seen so far, what do you think is the oldest known event in human civilization on the Blue Planet? Yes, it would likely be the construction of Alubarna Palace around 4,000 years ago. I know, most of you might think, could it be the Tree of Knowledge from Ohara? However, it's not clear whether there was a civilization in Ohara during that period, so for now, we consider the oldest records of human civilization to relate to Alabasta. Thus, Nika might have existed since the dawn of civilization on the Blue Planet. It's reasonable to assume that by then, advanced technology was already well developed on the moon. This implies that advanced technology existed on the moon before a giant kingdom with a developed civilization emerged on the Blue Planet 900 years ago. There is no doubt that the Moon people, seeking resources, descended to the Blue Planet and contributed to the development of its advanced civilization. I believe the Moon people arrived on the Blue Planet just before the year 1522. This is deduced from understanding the calendar system used in the world of One Piece. As viewers of this channel may know, there are two calendars in the One Piece world: the Sea Circle calendar and the Sky calendar. Currently, the Sea Circle calendar is likely in use. The era when Norland lived, which was 402 years ago, corresponds to the year 1120 in the Sea Circle calendar, making the current year 1522. However, since Alabasta has a history of 4,000 years, it implies that a different calendar was in use more than 1,522 years ago. This would be the Sky calendar mentioned by Robin. What does all this mean? Why did the calendar change? I think the perspective is crucial. It's likely that the ancient Sky calendar was created by the people of the Blue Planet. We base our calendars on the cycles of the sun and the moon. From our perspective, both the sun and the moon exist in the sky. Therefore, in the world of One Piece, the people of the Blue Seas lived according to the Sky calendar. On the other hand, the Sea Circle calendar was probably created from the perspective of the people of the Moon City. Translated literally, Kayan Reki means round sea. Back then, due to undeveloped technology, people living on the planet might not have realized that their planet was blue and round. However, the people from the moon, who came from outside the planet, knew that the planet where Luffy and others live is round and blue. Thus, the people of the moon landed on the Blue Planet more than 1,522 years ago, gradually deepening their interactions with the people of the Blue Seas, and as a result, moon technology started to develop on the Blue Planet. Eventually, the Sea Circle calendar, which was created from the perspective of the Moon People, was adopted. Over 1,000 years ago, Zunisha was born and the Mokomo dukedom developed on its back. At the same time, the Shandians were also flourishing. This means that these nations had been building civilizations since 900 years ago, when the Great Kingdoms were emerging. Zunisha's biological name is Naitamie Noridazo. Many may know this, but if you read these Japanese characters upside down, it becomes elephant that looks like a painting by Dali. Zunisha is likely a character inspired by Dali's space elephant. Considering his favorite food is Sky Island apples, it seems he has a deep connection with the Moon People. Similarly, the people of Shandia resemble the Moon People depicted in the moon murals. Therefore, it's clear that the civilizations of Mokomo Dukedom and Shandia have deep ties to the arrival of the Moon People on the Blue Planet. In Chapter 1115, it was revealed that the islands where we currently live are nothing more than fragments of an ancient continent. This discovery prompts us to reconsider several aspects of the islands along the Grand Line, which I will analyze in detail. One point of interest is Little Garden. Vivi said this about it. There are islands on the Grand Line that have remained unchanged for thousands, even tens of thousands of years without any progress. Previously, it was thought that the difficult navigation between islands on the Grand Line led each island to develop its own distinct civilization. However, it appears this situation only began after the Void Century, because before that, a huge continent existed. This raises a contradiction with Vivi's explanation that dinosaurs exist on Little Garden because it's part of the Grand Line. As previously explained, dinosaurs have been around since ancient times. Thus, the continued existence of dinosaurs on this island might have a different reason. Like the dragons on Punk Hazard, the dinosaurs of Little Garden might also have been artificially created. Next, let's take a look at Impel Down. I've talked about this so much in previous videos that you're probably familiar with it, so I won't go into too much detail. You may have noticed something that looks like the ground in the lowest levels of Impel Down. It's likely that this is a part of the ancient continent. Next, let's discuss Karakuri Island, which personally intrigues me due to some peculiarities. When Frankie was sent there 2 years ago, the climate was wintry. This island is known for its year-round cold winters, which motivated a young Dr. Vegapunk to attempt developing a heated soil system there. However, Karakuri Island, as depicted in the cover story, Enel's Great Space Operations, didn't seem to be a winter island at all. It appeared more like an autumnal island, with imagery of bamboo, the moon, and dumplings, all of which evoke the season of autumn in Japanese culture. The robots that went to the moon to avenge the explosion caused by space pirates, which led to Dr. Tsukimi choking on Mochi, were down until Enel recharged them. However, it's actually unclear how long they were left there. It's even possible that they headed to the moon before the Void Century. This suggests that not only the water levels, but also the climate around the world may have been completely different back when there was a continent in the Grand Line. Let's discuss Wano country. Odin noted in his journal that Wano was once connected to the world, which indicates that Wano was physically connected to the mainland. Chapter 1055 revealed that Pluton was located beneath Old Wano country, as disclosed by Sukiyaki. Moreover, Gyukimaru mentioned that Wano was once called the Land of Gold. This suggests that 1,000 years ago, before the continent sank, Wano was situated on a high plateau, rich in gold deposits in its soil. It's possible that this gold was used in the design of Pluton. I'd like to close this video by introducing one of my hypotheses. The blue planet of the One Piece world originally had only one continent. However, over time, it split into 5 continents, and these 5 continents were flourishing 1,000 years ago. I will explain the reasons for this theory in order. But first, I have a question for you. Why do you think the castle in Mariajois is called Pangea Castle? In an SBS, Oda-sensei mentioned the name Pangea, which undoubtedly plays a significant role in the history of One Piece. Let me briefly explain about the continent of Pangea. Pangea was a supercontinent that existed around 335 million years ago during the late Paleozoic and early Mesozoic eras. It was composed of almost all the Earth's landmasses combined into one massive continent, surrounded by a superocean known as Panthalassa. The concept of Pangea supports the theory that the Earth's continents were once connected and later separated due to tectonic plate movements. Similarly, it's possible that the world of One Piece once consisted of a single continent on this blue planet. Queen's comments suggest that dinosaurs may have dominated the blue planet for over 100 million years, possibly when there was only one continent. This could be why the kings of the 20 kingdoms named their castle Pangea, under the ambition of ruling all the continents. As time passed, the continent split into 5 major parts. This might be what Nekomamushi referred to when he said, "There are 5 islands in the world." This implies that during the time the Mokomo Dukedom was established, there were 5 major land masses in the world. Here's another great mystery. How was the Red Line formed? I have a solid theory about this. I expect to share a video on the Red Line in June. It will probably offer conclusions you've never heard before. Until then, I'd love to hear your theories about the Red Line.